What if I told you that Bob Dylan, one of the most influential musicians of the 20th century, made a secret spiritual shift that shocked fans, critics, and even close friends? And the reason behind it is far more personal, complex, and surprising than anyone could have guessed. The truth about why Dylan abandoned Judaism for Christianity is not just about religion. It's a story of identity, struggle, and transformation that reshapes how we understand the legend. Bob Dylan, born Robert Zimmerman, grew up in a devout Jewish household in Minnesota, surrounded by the traditions, culture, and music of his heritage. He began his career as a folk singer-songwriter, quickly gaining fame in the 1960s with protest songs and socially conscious lyrics that made him a voice of a generation. Yet, despite his early connection to Judaism, Dylan underwent a dramatic and highly publicized religious transformation in the late 1970s, embracing Christianity and releasing albums like Slow Train Coming that reflected his newfound faith. For decades, fans and critics speculated about the reasons behind this dramatic shift, but the real story is far more profound than simple spiritual exploration. At the heart of Dylan's conversion was a deep personal search for meaning and guidance. By the mid-1970s, Dylan had achieved enormous fame, but he was also grappling with the pressures of celebrity, complex personal relationships, and questions about morality, purpose, and identity. Close observers suggest that Dylan's exploration of Christianity offered a framework to reconcile his inner struggles, find spiritual clarity, and channel his creativity in new, powerful ways. Unlike a casual religious curiosity, this was an all-encompassing spiritual journey, one that touched every aspect of his life, from his music to his worldview. The impact of Dylan's conversion was immediate and controversial. Albums like Slow Train Coming and Saved introduced Christian themes into his music, surprising fans who had followed his career for years. Songs featured explicit biblical references, calls for repentance, and reflections on salvation, content that contrasted sharply with the protest anthems and secular explorations that had defined his early work. While some fans embraced the evolution, others felt alienated, confused, or even betrayed by the sudden shift. Yet, for Dylan, this period was a transformative process, a way to confront inner turmoil, articulate a personal moral vision, and explore his own humanity in the light of faith. Insiders reveal that Dylan's embrace of Christianity was also deeply private and emotional. It was not a public stunt or a career move, but a genuine spiritual awakening that affected his relationships, his lifestyle, and his creative choices. He delved into biblical study, engaged with Christian communities, and sought to live according to his faith, even as the world scrutinized every step. For Dylan, abandoning Judaism was not a rejection of his roots, but a personal, existential journey, a way to confront questions of life, death, morality, and purpose that fame and success alone could not answer. Over the decades, Dylan's spiritual path continued to evolve, and while he eventually incorporated elements of his Jewish heritage back into his life and music, the period of Christian devotion left a permanent mark on his artistry. Songs from that era remain among his most passionate and uncompromising works, reflecting a man wrestling with faith, identity, and the human condition in ways few artists dare to explore. It's a reminder that behind the fame and mystique, Bob Dylan is a man on a deeply personal quest for meaning, unafraid to follow his convictions even when it challenges expectations. Ultimately, the real reason Bob Dylan abandoned Judaism for Christianity is a story of profound personal transformation. It's about faith, doubt, morality, and the search for understanding in a complex world. Knowing this story changes the way we see Dylan, not just as a musical icon, but as a man navigating the spiritual and existential questions that confront us all. His journey reminds us that even legends must wrestle with identity, belief, and the courage to follow their own path, no matter how controversial or misunderstood.